Thanks for catching this replay of my Writerly Wednesday chat. Feel free to share this with your friends, and you can catch me on Wednesdays. Hopefully this time works, and yeah. There I am. I saw you, John. I'm glad that you caught me this time. Hi. All right, so we'll wait and see if anyone else is gonna join us. I'm on the other side of my office this time because the sun's down, so the window behind me isn't like blasting the camera. Do, 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 do. Oh, it's raining in LA. It rained here for like 5 seconds in the morning. I was out walking my dog, naturally, but then it stopped and has just been crazy windy all day. Boop, boop, boop. I hope we'll have more people. Everyone should be off work. Oh, yay, we have a new person. At noon, I had like 2 or 3. One of them was definitely my fiance, but you know, that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna start spieling. I feel like I have a decent amount to talk about tonight, so people should have time to jump in. So hi, the 2 of you that are here and everyone who's watching the replay. My name is Megan, and I am a developmental editor and aspiring writing coach. I am passionate about helping writers to refine their words and tell the best possible version of their stories. Please feel free to share this scope with your followers. If you swipe to the left, that's my left, this might be your left, then you can share on Twitter or with your Periscope followers. It would be much appreciated. It'd be a lot more fun to have some more folks in here say some stuff, talk about some writing. Okay, so today we're talking about memoir and autobiography. Fun fact, they are different things, but as with most things in, life and writing, they sort of blur together. Thank you, Don. So the main difference, a lot of writers use memoir and autobiography interchangeably, but they are actually different things. And the main difference is that autobiography covers events from the author's life in its entirety, so from birth to present. But memoir, on the other hand, is events from the author's life from a specific time period or surrounding a specific experience. So both are nonfiction, both are about you, the writer, but memoir has a much more specific scope. So a good way to tell whether or not you are in fact writing a memoir or an autobiography is if you feel compelled to start your story with, "I was born." That's probably an autobiography. But like I said, like most things with writing, this is not a hard and fast rule. Things get blurred, the line gets blurred, downright destroyed from time to time. So there are plenty of memoirs that involve stories from the author's childhood, but the thing to keep in mind is that they are related to, hi Martina, they are related to the specific event or experience that the author is writing about. So Steve Martin's memoir is a very good example of this. His memoir is Born Standing Up, and it talks about how he became a stand-up comic and then a little bit about his experience as a successful stand-up comic. So the stories from his childhood are told because they in some way influenced him becoming a comedian. It's not, I had this dog this one time, because that's not relevant. So he chose relevant stories to the overarching narrative of how he became a comedian. But this goes to show that sometimes memoirs require a bit of autobiographical information in them so that the reader has some context for who you are and what's happening, and, you know, can understand the significance of the events and the players involved, like any other story, really. But the trick is to figure out exactly how much and what context to include. So how do you do that? Well, I have some ideas. First, I have some questions that you should start out asking yourself. The first one is, who am I writing this for? If you're writing it for yourself, for some catharsis, then this is sort of moot. You can do whatever you want. If you're the only person who's ever going to read it, you could include as much or as little contextual information as you feel is necessary. But if you are writing to publish, you're probably going to need some contextual information. If you're writing for yourself, you might also not feel the need to include any contextual information because you're aware of everything that's happening or that happened. So you and even some of your friends and family aren't going to need a whole lot of contextual information. But if you're publishing it, you're going to need at least some. So question 2 is, what is the purpose of this memoir? No, I'm just going to whack my desk and like knock everything over right now. So are you writing this memoir to teach the reader something or help them in some way? Are you telling them your experience, hoping that they'll relate to you and maybe feel less alone or learn how to handle something better, how to have a certain type of experience in a healthy way, that kind of thing? That's a lot of popular reasons that memoirs get written. So that's an important thing to keep in mind as far as what kind of contextual information they're going to need. Are they going to need to know, like say you're writing a memoir about depression to help other people with depression. People are going to maybe need to know when you started developing signs and symptoms, how long, that kind of thing. Oh, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I just got a text message. I hope that didn't mess things up for you guys. Yeah, so again, with Steve Martin's memoir, he is telling people the story of how he became a stand-up comedian, so he chose stories that were relevant to that. And then also, he most likely, I don't know for sure because I didn't work on it, unfortunately, for him. No, I'm just kidding. He most likely chose stories that also had a high entertainment value because that's what's important to him, is making people laugh. So funny stories about his childhood that also influenced him becoming a comedian. There's another memoir, one of my favorites of mine. It's called Prude by Emily Southwood, and it's about this woman who's, I think he was maybe just her husband or about to become her husband, worked on a crew in the porn industry for a year. And that stirred up all kinds of interesting things with her as far as her feelings about pornography in the industry and that kind of thing. But that one had very little autobiographical information. The only thing that we needed to know was how she developed her feelings about porn leading up to this experience. And then everything else was purely about that year and is contained within that year, and it pertains to those experiences. So, yeah, determine the purpose. Why are you writing it? And then the third question is, what is this really about? Which sort of sounds related to why are you writing it? But this is the one that, if you've considered the first two questions, sort of help you to determine whether or not you need autobiographical context in your memoir. So if you've thought about those first two and the answer is yes, I'm going to need to include at least a little bit of autobiographical context, then this question is the one that helps you determine what kind and how much. So, like Steve Martin, you're going to want to choose relevant stories to the point of your memoir. So you're going to want to choose to tell about things that shaped your personality, your beliefs, your viewpoints, as they pertain to the life event or experience that you are talking about in your memoir. Or you're going to want to talk about things that led you to the point of the event or experience that you're describing. But unless your memoir is about how events from your childhood shaped your present, then you're not going to necessarily need to start with your childhood. You don't have to go linearly. That's where the creative part of creative nonfiction comes in. You can throw it in, and actually this is my first tip for how to avoid putting in too much. Use flashbacks, because flashbacks will automatically make it necessary that you keep these anecdotes short and to the point. So you can't go on for too long, and you can't really, if you find yourself drifting off point, then you can pretty easily bring yourself back, because you can be like, oh right, what am I writing about right now? So flashbacks are a good way to include the necessary autobiographical information, but not too much of it. Second tip, you're going to want to examine this anecdote really well for relevance. So if you do want to start at the beginning and you're writing about your childhood, maybe think, is this person, this event, this anecdote really important to the ultimate point of this story? Like, is this going to get my reader, is this going to give my reader more information to understand what I'm actually talking about? Or do I just really like this story from my childhood? And that part's really hard, and that part is the part that an editor can help you out with, because killing your darlings, I think we all know, is really difficult. We can get pretty attached to things, and sometimes we need someone to be like, hey, this was a really cute story. Maybe make it its own thing. It could be like a really fun short story, but for this purpose, it's not right. But you can also do that for yourself a bit. But as sort of a final thought, I would say to write your first draft without really questioning anything. Just get it all out there, because honestly, for me anyway, writing nonfiction, that's the hardest part, is getting everything onto the page in the first place. And so if I'm worried about, making sure that everything makes some kind of linear sense right from the beginning, I'm liable to stop, because memories are crazy creatures. Mine especially is sort of spotty at best, and so it's really just important to get it all out. And then once you have everything, you can sort of look at them like blocks and start to build the story from what you have. But you can't build a block castle without any blocks. So yeah, that is tonight's spiel. I was wondering, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Want to talk a little more about nonfiction? Are you guys, my little counter guy keeps going up and down, and it's really freaking me out. If you guys are there, give me some hearts. Yay! Okay, good. I'm not by myself. Excellent. Yeah. So I hope you guys found that helpful. Memoir and then literary and a little bit of genre fiction is sort of my jam. But memoir is where I actually have the vast amount of my editorial experience. So I hope that this was helpful. Yeah, so the replay will be up soon. I hope you'll share that with your friends. If you let me know if this time worked better, or if later even, or main story you want to tell and then adding contextual info. Yeah, that could work too. If you have sort of like a solid, like linear story that you want to tell, that would be a good way to start. You can have somebody else read it and sort of tell you where the blanks are, because again, sometimes we know things and we don't put them down on the page because it seems a little obvious. So yeah, I think that having, if you have sort of an A to Z story that you can just write, then I would not suggest not doing that. If that makes sense. But if you're struggling to find that A to Z narrative, then writing without worrying about it is my how I operate. I'm a pantser. You could also try outlining. Maybe you definitely know how the story starts, you definitely know how the story ends, but everything in the middle is a little fuzzy. You could try outlining. And again, because it's creative nonfiction, you don't have to worry about creating an exact timeline. I don't think anyone's gonna call you out if you misremember when a certain conversation happened or get events sort of out of order. Like I said, memories are weird creatures, so outlining might actually be helpful also if you are not super comfortable with just sitting down and free writing, or if you loathe the idea of having to do a lot of editing and cutting after the fact. Outlining or just writing the linear story and then adding in the contextual information later are two good ways of doing that. Thank you for the question. It was a good question. Are there any others? Cool. Well, you can find me on the internet, all over the internet. I am on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all as Why Not Blog. So why not as like this handle, WHYNOTT, but it's blog instead of edit. I don't know why I made this one Why Not Edit, but I like it better, so I might change everything else. My website is also www.thewhynotblog.com. You can find me there. I blog a bit, and it also has links to my social channels. It also has a sign up for my newsletter, where if you sign up, right now my freebie is a style sheet template, which is kind of cool, and I highly recommend for writers. So style sheets are these things that editors use to ensure consistency. You basically write down character names, various punctuation rules you're following, and since you have that running list next to you, every time you come to that situation, you just say, oh, right, I am doing the serial comma. Boom. And then you have serial commas everywhere. They're awesome. I have a whole blog post about it on my website, and then also you can sign up for my newsletter to get the template. You will also receive the replay link for this Periscope and a sort of written out version of the replay, I suppose. I type out my notes and thoughts in a more thorough package, and you can get it there. I also do writing challenges and prompts, and every once in a while I toss out a special offer for my subscribers, some feedback and writing chats and whatnot, so sign up for my newsletter. And I hope to see you guys around. If you have ideas for when is a better time to do this, then let me know, because I'm trying to find everybody. You can tweet me if you have an idea, or email me if you want to. Yeah, so I hope you all have a lovely evening. This time isn't bad? Okay, well then I charge you all with helping me to spread the word. All right, cool. Happy Wednesday, you guys. Have a nice time writing.